For those of you that have followed my channel for any length of time, it should come as no big surprise that when it comes to flashlights, my go-to is Streamlight. And that's not just weapon-mounted lights, although if you were to look in my gun safe, any of the guns that have weapon-mounted lights attached, they're Streamlights. I also carry Streamlight handhelds in my vehicles for emergency use, and in my day job, which is kind of a industrial type environment, the flashlights that I rely on the most are Streamlights. Over the years, I have found Streamlight products to be reliable, durable, affordable, and no matter what your lighting needs are, because Streamlight makes so many different models, they're going to have something that's going to fit your needs. On top of that, there aren't many companies out there that are providing the level of customer service that Streamlight does. The newest addition to my Streamlight collection is this one here, the TLR-7HLX, and this is what we're here to talk about today. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do the usual. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below, let me know what kind of weapon-mounted light are you using? Is it a Streamlight? And if not, why? I've actually brought 3 Streamlights out here with me today. I have the TLR-7A, the TLR-7X, and the TLR-7HLX. I want to go ahead and talk about the 3 because they're kind of the same light except different. Now, if you're interested in any weapon-mounted lights, down in the description, I'm going to leave a link over to my website where I'm going to have the best pricing for these lights as well as promo codes if you need a flashlight. One of my favorite lights in the collection is the TLR-7A. I've been using this one for quite some time, and I really like it because it is somewhat universal. I do have the universal key on here, and it butts up quite nicely on this Hellcat Pro. But because of its size and the way that the rail is designed, I can go ahead and put this on like my 4-inch Smith & Wesson M&P. I can put it on my CZ P10C. It fits on a lot of different guns. Not everybody out there is going to buy a dedicated light for every gun that's in their safe. That's not exactly affordable for most people, even at the Streamlight price. Now the 7A, it's not a bad light. It is 500 lumens, so it's bright but not too bright. It's good enough for a concealed carry gun. The problem that I have with it is that the lighting it feels dim. At 500 lumens, it's not the whitest light that there is. That's not something that I noticed until they launched the TLR-7X. Now, the TLR-7X is the same light as the 7A. The light body is exactly the same. It is also 500 lumens, but for whatever reason, the light is actually brighter. It feels brighter. The coloration of the light is a little bit whiter than what the 7A is. So if you have a 7A, this is a kind of welcome upgrade, the 7X. Again, I've got the universal key on there. It butts up really nicely to this Hellcat Pro, and I can swap this over to any number of other guns in the collection. Somewhat recently, Streamlight released the TLR-7HLX, and this one is a big improvement over the other 2. Now, mind you, the other 2 are 500 lumens. The HLX is 1,000 lumens, so it's obviously twice as bright. And I find the coloration of the light is very bright. It's very white. So it lights up really well. We'll throw some B-roll in here somewhere of low light usage of these lights, but out of the 3, I can tell you that the HLX is extraordinarily bright compared to the other 2, especially the TLR-7A. Obviously, the 7A is discontinued. You can still find them here and there, but why would you at this point when there are 2 much better lights out there? My HOA is definitely not going to like this. Too bad. Here's the scenario. It's evening time, chilling in my recliner, hear a little bit of noise. It's either Bigfoot trying to break into my van and take a dump in my brass bucket again, or it's a crackhead trying to steal my stereo. I have 3 options for weapon-mounted lights to grab. First, TLR-7A. Okay, it's probably not Bigfoot. but it could be a crackhead. TLR-7X, nope, it's not Bigfoot, but it could be a crackhead. In fact, it probably is. TLR-7X, okay, there's no Bigfoot. There's definitely no crackhead. Somebody forgot to close the van. It's a good thing I don't leave anything in it overnight other than the brass bucket. Some of you are probably wondering, is it worth it to upgrade into a 7HLX over something like, I don't know, the 7X? And that's a good question. The two lights are pretty much the same as far as the light body. The only real difference there is that the cap is a little bit longer on the HLX than it is on the 7X. Now, when it came to getting the 7X versus the 7A, that was an easy upgrade because the holster compatibility is the same. This is my Mechanitech Talon holster. This is my daily carry holster. It's used, abused, and beat up, but I can use it with the 7A. That's what it was designed for. And then the 7X came out, and of course, it works in there just fine because it's exactly the same light body and cap. When you go to the HLX though, the HLX, because it is a little bit longer, it fits into the holster, except my gun sits backwards just a little bit from where it would with the other two lights. Now I would probably carry this setup as is. Just be warned that if you have a holster that's designed for the 7A or the 7X, what's going to happen when you use an HLX is that your trigger guard isn't going to be quite as covered as it would be with those other two lights. You also may not get quite the same level of retention, although this isn't really going anywhere, and that holds true for all three of these lights. I'm not so much worried about that as I am the possibility of the trigger not being covered. Although, if you're brave enough, it'll work. I have come out here and done some low light shooting with all three of these weapon mounted lights. I did get some shooting footage, but let me tell you, that stuff is not easy to get. It's grainy, it's hard to see, and I don't necessarily think that the film shows what the human eye sees. From my perspective, while shooting in low light conditions, there's a huge difference between these three lights. Obviously, when you go from the TLR-7X over to the HLX, you're doubling your light output, but what you're seeing with the naked eye versus what you can see on camera, it's not even remotely the same. All right, TLR-7A. Last but not least, we have the TLR-7HLX. All right, so we'll just do a couple of side-by-sides here. This is the oldest out of the bunch. This is the TLR-7A. It's a little bit on the dim side. My target is, I don't know, it's kind of yellowish. It's not lit up the best. Next we'll go to the TLR-7X. This one's not too bad. Target's just a little bit brighter. Then TLR-7HLX, which is considerably brighter. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but I can see way back there at the back of the gravel pit with this bad boy. I've done some scenarios in my house as well as, you know, in my yard and driveway, kind of testing these lights out and seeing, you know, how much throw they have and how much they light up different areas. And if I didn't already have a weapon mounted light and I were in the market for one, I would say that the TLR-7 HLX would be my first choice. Again, the complication there is that I have maybe a half dozen holsters for the Hellcat Pro that are all set up for the TLR-7A/7X, and so it's questionable as to whether or not I want to carry a holster that isn't necessarily designed for the HLX. Here I've got, this is from Tack Rig. I've been using this one for a while, and it fits in there. It actually clicks in really nicely, but you can see there part of the trigger guard is exposed. My trigger itself is covered enough that I'm not necessarily concerned with it, but some people may be. Ultimately, when you're using a weapon mounted light, that's a little tight. Ultimately, when you're using a weapon mounted light, you want the most light possible. You want it to be durable, and you want that battery to last. Now, the battery that's in this HLX is rechargeable, which is nice. I can go through every couple of weeks and just plug the battery in, charge it up, make sure that it's at full capacity, just in case. It would be kind of a shit show if I were to ever pull this weapon out, need the light, and the light not actually work. So recharging your battery is a great option. Now, I can get the job done with the TLR-7X. It works just fine. There is nothing wrong with this light. If you own it, it's a good light. I would not say that it's something that you should just get rid of to be able to get something like the 7HLX. I've been using this one since it came out, and like I said, I really like it. I don't do as much low light shooting as I probably should, but I do try to come out here, I don't know, every month and a half or so in the evening when the sun is going down and get a little bit of time on the range shooting with a weapon mounted light. When I do come out here and do that low light shooting, when I set up multiple targets at different distances, I've found that I'm able to see a lot better and transition between targets better with the HLX over the other weapon lights that I have here. And that's just because it is so bright and it sends that light beam so much further. Of course, these days, a lot of people are, I don't know, more concerned with the look of certain things than they are how they perform, which can be unfortunate at times. So if you are the type of person that doesn't like your light extending past your slide, the HLX may not be for you. Obviously, that depends on the gun you're using, but this channel is all about Hellcat Pros, and with the Hellcat Pro, you do get quite an extension past the slide with this HLX versus something like the 7X. I'm going in circles here because honestly, I like both of these lights a lot. But if we're talking about end use, you're going to get a lot better performance out of this TLR-7HLX than you are the TLR-7X. And at the end of the day, I really think that that's what counts, is the performance. So regardless of the weapon you're using, that could be, I don't know, a Staccato C, that could be an M&P, it could be a Glock, I guess. TLR-7HLX is my new favorite weapon mounted light for pistols, at least in this size category. If you're in the market for a light, you're definitely going to want to check this out. Even more so, you're going to want to hit the link down in the description to my website, because although Streamlight products are affordable, I can make sure that you get them for a little less, and who doesn't like to save money? All right, that's a quick and easy video today for the TLR-7HLX. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I've got a lot of things to do this weekend, so as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you back here real soon.